Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your presence here and welcome to Akasha and His Son's ongoing Tree of Life classes. Let us prepare the way for their presence with us this evening with a gentle meditation. Deep breath. And closing our eyelids. And let's consciously place all the things that we have been addressing today, everything that came into our minds, everything that our feeling body touched today. Let's place all those things within the great heart flame within and into the hands of our mighty I Am, that we might deeply relax, setting aside those things into the hands of our presence. That as a family we may turn within in deep loving acknowledgement of a physical heart within each of us that has been made whole once again. And let us take a moment to reflect and to acknowledge the transformation of our hearts. At one time within our hearts, a spark of life that beat our hearts. Today, that spark liberated, transformed into a living flame of love. And surrounding that flame, a gift from Jesus Christ, the lantern of His light, given to expand the light of our own God flames. And surrounding that spiritual center within our hearts are the 9 plumes of creation, the majestic plumes of the aloha, and the divine plumes of the Father and Mother presence. All there to help us nurture and feed and direct our great God flame that abides within our heart. We love and bless that flame. And we understand and we remember that it is given for us to direct. And so we lovingly call upon the great God flame in our hearts to expand and to release waves of love back up to our mighty I Am, the source of our life on earth, completing the circle of life. And as the love of our heart flame reaches our beloved presence, we say to the great God presence of each of us, the mighty I Am, we love you, we bless you, we thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity in this embodiment to embody the fullness of thy presence on earth through the resurrection. Our beloved I Am, it is to the glory of resurrection that we dedicate our lives and do all that we can to provide you, God, the mighty I Am presence, a vessel, an instrument, a temple that is our earthly embodiments. For you, the Christ, to come forth and take your dominion through the lives that you have given to each of us. And to this great attainment, do we say to you, those precious words that Master Jesus spoke to the Heavenly Father moments before he was seized in the Garden of Gethsemane. Moments after the angel came to strengthen the Master for all that he was about to face. The Master turned upwards, and strengthened by the angel, the Master said, "Father, not my will, but thy will be done." And so it is. We understand that in living lives of limitation, we have crucified ourselves, and we are ready for our own resurrection. And for all passages that we, each of us, must pass through, we say to the great presence, the giver of life, "Thy will be done. Thy will be done." In all that you, the mighty I Am, know that each of us desire and require. Victory, freedom, and the resurrection. Deep breath. And so we call to you our own divinity, our own divine presence. And to three great ascended masters, the Chohans of some of the flames of God, to the mighty Saint Germain, to Mother Akasha, and to Jesus the Christ, to be with us, to send us their angels, and to blaze a pillar of the sacred fire, the resurrection flames in, through, and around each of us, blending the violet in their purification, the pink flames releasing their love, will, and grace, and the golden flames releasing their illumination. Blaze the violet, pink, and golden flames. Our beloved I Am, great masters, through the substance of our minds, bodies, and feelings, purifying, loving, and illumining the very substance of our minds, bodies, and feelings. We call upon our own higher discerning intelligence to sustain and maintain the pillar of the sacred flames of God in, through, and around us every moment of every day. We love and bless the sacred fire. And while this is being released through each of us, we turn our attention back to the flames of God that are growing within our physical body. We call upon our heart flame to expand and release its sacred fire, love, purity, and power through the substance of our minds, bodies, and feelings. We turn our attention to the chest cavity, and we call upon the threefold flames of love, wisdom, and power, and their golden sun's presence that fills the chest, to release a mighty radiance of its luminosity out from us in all directions, 1,000 feet, 1,000 yards, 1,000 miles, and more, a blessing to all life in this world. We turn our attention to the brow of our brain structure, where we acknowledge and call upon the sevenfold flames of Elohim, the Elohim flames of creation, to open and release their seven mighty electronic waves through our brain structure, preparing our brain to receive the greater light of the Christ. We call upon our beloved presence to now blend these three mighty centers, expand our heart flame over to become one with the threefold flames of love, wisdom, and power, and raise those flames up through the head to become one with the sevenfold flames of creation. One blazing sacred fire flame of God, that from the inner activity of our physical bodies continues to create the ideal environment that the Christ of our beloved presence may come forth and take its dominion through each of us, raising us an untouchable presence. Deep breath. And let us be conscious and set forth the invitation for the greater protection that is freely offered into our lives, our beloved mighty I Am, great ascended host. We call upon you to continue to enfold us in your mighty magic armor of cosmic light substance. A tube of light drawn down and around us and below us that seals us and makes us invisible to the discord that yet remains in the outer world. An armor of light that makes us more sensitive to the golden voice of God that speaks through our hearts each day. We thank you. Beloved Archangel Michael, we love you. We call upon you and your angels to attend us and to continue to sustain and maintain a wall of cosmic blue flames outside of our tube of light as added protection until we are free in our resurrection, our service, and ascension. And to the great cosmic beings, we offer our love and gratitude. Beings such as the Queen of Light, Lord Melchizedek, Sanat Kumara, the Goddess of Venus, Goddess of Light, Lord Maitreya, Mighty Victory, Mother Vesta, Mother Akasha, great cosmic beings, as you have taught us. We call upon you to enfold our lives, our homes, our loved ones, enfold all the personal and business activities of our lives, enfold all means of transportation that we use each day in your ascended master walls of invisibility, invincibility, and vulnerability over all that is of human creation, human law, or the sinister force that sets each of us forth an untouchable to all that is wrong yet in this world. We thank you. We are so grateful and blessed. And into our gathering, and into the homes of all who consciously turn towards the light, we call forth the presence of angels. We love and bless the angels. We understand that they come to assist us to fulfill our destiny, our higher purpose, and the divine plan that God, the mighty I Am Presence, has for each of us. We accept the angels with all our hearts. And we welcome the angels to return into our lives, to come close to us as we are to each other. And yet, although invisible to our outer sight, we welcome and accept their living presence amongst us. Come, precious angels, and bless and overlight our lives that each one achieves their destiny, their higher purpose, and the divine plan the presence has for each one. That we too, like the angels, may go forth in greater service to humanity, the earth, and all kingdoms that share life with us upon this planet. We love and bless the angels. Deep breath. And last, before Mother Akasha greets us, she invites each of us to enter into a few moments of holding a higher vision for friends, family, and loved ones. A higher vision where each of us command and demand continuously unfolding, miracle-making moments. Akasha invites you to bring into your mind, to hold within your consciousness for a few moments, the names or images of friends, family, and loved ones. Just rest your attention upon them lightly. And let us, as one student body around the world, let us welcome continuously unfolding, miracle-making moments into the lives of all our loved ones. And I call to each of you the eternal grace of life that has always known your innocence, grace that has never known you other than the wholeness and the innocence in which each of you were created. I, Akasha, decree, by the authority of the great central sun, and in the authority of Mother Mary, who, as you all have come to know, has returned to the great central sun. Mary's presence is in the deepest silence. I myself cannot communicate with her. Yet I do know that in the sacred silence that Mother Mary has entered into in the great central sun until April, that she has a list, if you will, that in her right as the ascended Mother of Jesus the Christ, she has the authority to seek to birth those aspects, initiations, and passages of resurrection that are before each of you in your years ahead. I have seen this list, if you will. And I can say to you that I know that Mother Mary, in the great, great silence of the great central sun, is birthing, and I hope you understand, that Mother Mary is one who came to your world. She is a part of your world. And when she did, she set aside her soul as an archangel, as the twin flame to Raphael. She became a living member of your race, the people of earth, the I am race. And you know all that followed. And in the years since her ascension, she has gained great authority, just like her son in these some 2,000 years since his ascension. His son has been raised from Christ's stature to cosmic Christ. Such profound authority. Authority that has waited. Authority that has been delayed by the dark ages and the shadows that fell over the Christian church. Yet a new golden age is here. And Mother Mary is birthing in the deepest silence out of which the universe was birthed. The great central sun. She is birthing that the grace of the divine feminine principle of our universe, the Mother's presence, be a sudden force that comes to each of you. A sudden force that makes you whole again. And if you understand that in the context that Jesus and Mary see this, from their memories of when they were on the earth, and in the context of the presence that worked through her son, and oftentimes when there was a healing, a limb that was restored, diseases of the day, leprosy, that were healed, often the Master would say to these ones, "Be ye made whole again." And in that time, individuals who had been sick, bodies decayed for 20, 30 years sometimes, be ye made whole again. And if the body of the individual had become possessed by some wrecked and wretched energy, the body would squirm and as if being released from a control of something. For seconds, the body would go limp. Seconds. And then the individual would rise, tears, blessing the Holy Master. And then they would all fall to their feet, onto their knees to bless the Master. And this is where Jesus would say to them, "Be ye made whole again. Go and live a clean life." And all the years that Jesus studied, just as each of you are studying now, yet the requirements of the people of earth, the damage that has been done, the hell that has been ravaged upon this earth, requires that each of you take your training in the same mystery school that Jesus did, but no longer hidden deep within the mountains such as the Himalayas. Your trainings, your initiations, your passages, they must occur in the world that you are freeing yourself from. The world that has crucified each of you. Mary, in this moment, is birthing grace. A grace that is such a sudden moment of atonement that requires the Holy Spirit to move in you. You precious students, by your efforts, by your studies, by your turning within, by your willingness to allow divine intervention upon you, your hearts are whole. And yet, do you even properly and thoroughly realize and appreciate the extent of wholeness that your heart has been healed? How can, even if your heart is made whole again, how can you even conceive that wholeness if there's yet a shadow in your mind that blocks you from knowing and feeling and experiencing what has already been given? You cannot go forth, as is your future in your own resurrection, and heal the broken hearts in the world. You cannot go forth and have the power of redemption acting in you as it was in the prophet without your own hearts being completely healed. Your hearts are healed. They are restored. They are made whole. And as I, Akasha, return to you our second class of the year, there is such an expectation upon each of you. There is such an invitation to your divinity to come so close to you. There is a demand upon high that all that has crucified your lives in any form where physical conditions have been limiting, where due to the present physical limitations of your body, you all have present physical limitations to your body. Can you walk on water? So there is a present limitation to your physical body. And in light of those present physical conditions, you are not yet able to move into that place to control physical manifestation, to control physical conditions, while yet your body is under resurrection. Yet there is a way. And the Son and I are so determined. Even if we have to do something to the sensation of time within your consciousness, this is to be your breakaway year. This is to be your year where I say to you, in the authority that is mine, in the grace of the great central sun, that you do not drag into 2016 any consciousness of limitation of any kind. And if that does not exist within your consciousness, it cannot exist within your experiential reality. This is the year. This is the year in which I implore each of you to welcome, to authorize the most divine intervention. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Make it so, make it so. When you hear wonderful things, if you hear a story that Mother Mary is in the silence and she's birthing, that a sudden moment of grace be upon you. And in that sudden moment of grace, that you perceive, that you conceive yourself as being made whole again. Your hearts are already made whole. What tremendous activity. Can you imagine, precious hearts, in these 5 years past, since 2007 and 8, well, perhaps that's more than 5 years, but in those years, if we didn't focus, if we didn't teach you about the generators of the heart, if we didn't teach you about the chambers of the heart and the 9 pillars of the heart, if these didn't come into your consciousness, if we didn't teach you about Lord Maitreya and his power to intervene and restore these things, if we hadn't done any of the things, if you still had the same physical heart, if you didn't have the spiritual heart in your physical heart that you do now, let's say you didn't. Let's say the progress in the last 6, 7 years that has made your heart whole. Let's say it wasn't done, all right? And let's say that by your will, by your desire, and by the same power acting, when Jesus said to those he healed, "Be ye made whole." And let's say your mind was made whole. And in that wholeness, you could conceive what you had done to your hearts. How you had shut your hearts down. And with that whole mind, you could understand in a moment how the human race crucified itself. Shutting down the heart, you shut down the door to your soul. The most wonderful aspect of your heart, that aspect of you that fulfills everything your mind can conceive. What if your mind was made whole first? You would be compelled to see, to face that compulsion to see the broken heart. The door to your soul would have the power to draw the veil back over the mind. So what a long distance, what a way that each of you have come. Can each of you honestly say, if I honestly say to you, your hearts have been made whole. Your hearts are well. Can you say that you're in a state of mind that you can tune in and feel that wholeness? Feel that spiritual heart governing your physical heart? No. So there is another step. And this step is an act of grace. It's the same act of grace through the power of redemption that was given her Son to say to an individual 2,000 years ago, "Be ye made whole. Go and live a clean life." So Mary is birthing the idea within the silence that a sudden moment, what aspect of your being could create a sudden moment of divine intervention? Only the Holy Spirit. What is your part? Your part's to know this. Your part is to cooperate. Your part is to welcome it. Mother Mary, upon hearing this good news, that you are holding the silence and you are birthing for each of us a sudden moment in which our minds are made whole again. Mother Mary, I accept by the power of the Holy Spirit, I accept this divine intervention. In fact, I so desire to stay with this that for a couple of weeks, as I tuck my body into bed and into the sleep, I will say to God, or I will say to Jesus, or I will say to anyone who is my favorite ascended being. Maybe it's the Buddha, maybe it's Raphael, maybe it's the goddess of light, maybe it's even Mother Akasha. Perhaps it's a son or myself. That's up to you to choose. You can just call God. Yet when you include an ascended being, the ascended being can act outside the normal requirements of time and space. So I would encourage you for 2 weeks to keep you conscious. Stay with this. Make sure you're open to receive this benefit. All you have to do is at bedtime, you've laid your head to rest, and let your last thought make my mind whole again. Whether you say Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, whether you say God, whether you say Mother Mary, or whether you speak to Jesus, that's your business. But let that be your last thought before setting your body into the sleep. Make my mind whole again. You see, beloved heart, if you have a spiritual heart that's been restored, and then your mind is made whole by a power of a divine intervention, then there is a degree of knowingness that unfolds in your mind. You only have to place your attention upon a thing for a few moments, and the answer's there. With a heart that is restored, a mind that is made whole, finally, we are at the place that you've all desired to be for a very long time. The ability to control physical manifestation. That will always start with your own bodies, and that will be an evolution. An evolution you will come to love. Yet I say to you, my family, the sooner that you can reconcile some things in your life, that it's not ideal for you to continue to try to manage and control physical conditions for the kinds of outcomes that you rightfully would desire to have. It is no longer, you have to bring reconciliation here. Because if you keep trying to control physical conditions, physical manifestations, without sacred fire love, then those conditions you are going to meet with failure. That failure is going to bring more struggle. The struggle will then act as a barrier that you need not have in your life. Have you not grown so much? Not just through the studies, not just through the knowledge, yet how this knowledge that you are gaining, how it's interfacing with the experiential side of life. Are not each of you now have the discerning wisdom to really understand the crucifixion? Cannot each of you take the understanding? Have I allowed myself to be crucified by not experiencing myself as a perfect being, who I truly am? Have I allowed the forces of crucifixion, forces of duality, to create such limitation in my life? Looking at it from this point of view, yes. And this year invites each of you, as an idea was initiated in our first week last week, that each of you may find some profound things happening fast if you just take some time in your life. This is personal time. You're at home and you have a conversation. Whatever agreements that I have made to experience this crucifixion of self, whatever agreements that I have made to fight the forces of darkness, not knowing that I would be buying into limitation, whatever agreements that I have made to experience lack and limitation, whatever agreements I've made to suffer poor health in this body, whatever agreements that I have made to go through life alone without a loved one. That's just an example. Whatever agreements that I have made that have caused suffrage in my being. In the name, love, wisdom, and authority of all that I am, I renounce, I revoke all agreements that I have ever made in participating in a world of duality. Can you do that, beloved hearts? This is more important than ever. You are no longer functioning on the surface of your mind. Every one of you precious hearts, whether you realize it or not, you are doing basic things. You're becoming more real. There's more of you that is showing up. And in this more of you that is showing up, you can go out in the world. The modern world of glamour and Hollywood reveals to you a consciousness that is so superficial. And then you see that in these glamorous lives, lives of fortune and fame and richness, and then you read in the gossip magazines how terrible things start to happen in these one's lives. But you can see this in the mass of the common people. The common people are growing. There's great growth in the hearts of the people. Yet I say to you, the glamour that is in the world, and that whether that be in modeling, there are models out there that are beautifully authentic people. Wonderful to have an hour to sit with them and talk. And there's others that are just so superficial. If you were at all interested, and I don't imagine you would be interested, you only have to watch some of these reality programs that a son tells me about. Apparently there's this group, the Kardashians, or something like this. But do you understand what I'm saying? That there's just none of this that touches your lives. There is such rich genuineness that is coming forth in each of you. Every one of you are becoming wonderful sources of beingness that anyone out in the world, if someone was out in the world and lost and showed up in a coffee shop and you were the only person in that coffee shop, and they were lost and hurt and wounded or down and depressed, and you were the only person in that coffee shop, and they had an opportunity just to sit and be with you, my goodness, hours and hours and hours of conversation would pass. And that person would probably end up saying to you, you know, only a couple hours ago I felt so down and so lost. And I might not understand it, but I know it was the most greatest thing. You changed my life. You are all growing. And this is not a moment to take things for granted. Not at all. Every day is an opportunity for each of you to build two mighty qualities of life that will ensure that all that your presence, all that God desires and requires, comes forth for each of you. And that is faith and gratitude. Faith and gratitude. Now let me share. Do you understand that I have just shared with you that Mother Mary is birthing, holding, she is pregnant with this. She is going to birth many things in the great central sun. But she is birthing this idea. And in your understanding of time, I don't imagine 24 hours can pass when the birth will be actualized. What have I just shared with you? She is birthing the principal power that a sudden moment of grace be upon you that makes your mind whole again. Will you stay with it? Next. Now again, every once in a while I feel I need to reinforce, or a son to get after you. But I'll simply say, what I'm about to say is more important and more far-reaching than your intellect might immediately assess. Mother Mary is also birthing. Now, I have to talk about it rather than say it. Because if I say it and don't talk about it, I minimize it. She is birthing a concept to be actualized that must reach deep inside your consciousness. It is a concept in which everything you have considered, everything you thought, everything you felt, everything that you've spoken, that is difficult. Difficulty. Mother Mary is birthing the concept of an absence of difficulty in your consciousness. When you think of all the things that you faced, all the things that have been difficult, can you just breathe into that for a moment? And this is an anything and everything. What you have faced in the outer world, what you faced within yourself, conditions you faced in the outer world, things that were difficult for you when you lost loved ones, whatever it was, difficult times that you had with people, difficult times that you had with money and supply, difficult times that you had with your own physical body, world of relationships, difficult times that you may have had in trying to find ideal or perfect employment. It's huge, is it not?
Yes.
Mother Mary is birthing this within her being, that each of you shall be free. You shall be made void. It shall be removed from you. Her son always knew when he said to his disciples, and he said this, he said it 7 times to prepare them. And he said it one more time in the Garden of Gethsemane. There are many precious moments in Gethsemane. The most precious, while 8 of the disciples slept, while 1 watched and recorded, and then while 2 Peter and James felt something wake themselves up. And they heard terrible sounds. And Jesus had left them. He'd walked a stone's throw. And they heard terrible groans. And so they made their way through the bushes very, very quietly until they came up to about 4 feet from the master. And the master was prostrated and banging his head against the ground and heaving and crying. And the disciples just were in such shock. The horror that the master seemed to be going through. And then Peter and James saw a light like a falling star whoosh, through the sky. And then that light appeared before the master who was prostrate. And out of the light stepped the angel. And the angel was Lord Maitreya. And he picked Jesus up and turned so that he was facing. The sweat, the blood that was coming from Jesus' brow from banging his head upon the ground, the horror that the master was going through, that he wouldn't have the strength to go through, knowing his hour had come. And Maitreya strengthened. He strengthened Jesus. He gave them the extra strength. And with Maitreya holding him, that's the moment. Because Maitreya pointed his finger upward, said, Yeshu, now. And Yeshu looked up to the heavens. And with barely the extra strength Maitreya gave him to face what he was about to face, because he had to lay down his guard. That is the moment that Yeshu said, Father, not my will, thy will be done. And then a moment, Maitreya became a star and ascended back to the heavens. The master came back to his disciples. By that time, James and Peter, making sure that they weren't caught by their master, had gone back and faked sleeping and said, you're awake. And then the master said to the others, my time has come. My time has come. I must lay down my guard. And so you see, precious hearts, your time has come. Your time is come to lay down the wicked sword of crucifixion. The last words that Jesus spoke before Iscariot appeared with the Romans. My work here is done. And that's when Iscariot and the Romans appeared and seized him. My work is done. Yet Jesus knew that only that once he gained his freedom in the ascension, that at the right time he would return to the work, to the earth, to carry on the work. I urge each of you, precious hearts, yes, he comes and goes. He meets with great ascended beings up in the higher dimensions. He even comes into the great central sun. But most of the time, Jesus is in your world. He is at his retreat in Arabia. And so much intervention So when Mother Mary is birthing the idea that all that has been difficult that has ever registered in your consciousness, that be lifted. What kind of a mind could lift from you, from your emotional body, from your mental body, and what's registered upon your physical body, and what's registered in the energy of your world? What kind of mind, what kind of power could lift from you, take from you as if it never was, all that has ever been difficult? You have heard us say before, no man has suffered the way Jesus did in that crucifixion. No one ever experienced the difficult moments that he went through. That's why he wailed and wailed and wailed. He thought he'd give up. He knew what was coming. In his last moments, he didn't think he had the strength to go through it. That's why he was wailing. Not because he had to go through it, because he was doubting himself for a few moments. And then the angel came. So once he said, my work is done here, now he is returned. And the power that's going to touch every one of your lives that can lift, what power would have the authority to take from you everything that has ever been difficult in your life? Sometimes you know the power of habits. Sometime you have said yourselves in times past, I know that's what I should have done. I know that's the right thing. That would have been the right thing to do. But it was too difficult. The power that's going to lift everything that has ever been difficult for you is going to be the mind of Jesus the Christ. What he accomplished, he is the cosmic Christ. Therefore, he has the authority to command the Christ. Now, what is the Christ? Let's remember. What did you discover? The Christ is the mind of God. It is the mind of the I Am Presence where no impure thing can register. So if you have the cosmic Christ, would that have authority over the Christ? So through the Christ of each of you, your higher mind that you have come to resurrect up into, he is going to access your mental body, your emotional body, your physical body, and all the energy in your world from this and every life you have ever lived. These things must be explained to you enough so then if I ask you to do something, you will understand why and how important it is. And now I must ask you to do something that is going to make sure that what Mary is birthing to each of you, that the cosmic Christ, her Son, has come to be, can commune with the Christ mind of each of you to remove from your memory, from your experience, from your consciousness, everything that has been difficult. Anything and everything. Do you believe that he has the power? Do you have faith that he has the power? Would you be willing to be so grateful?
Yes.
Then would you be willing to go the mile
Yes.
and You're very willing. You don't even know what I'm going to ask you yet. You are earnest, beloved heart. And when you hear these things, don't say to me, I've already done that. Maybe you did. And in fact, you did. This time we're going to go deeper. Sometimes we say things to ourselves and it registers a little. And sometimes we have to keep doing until it gets so inside us, it changes us instantly. Can you have a memory now in which you have not showered or bathed for 3 to 4 days? Can you have that memory? Can you have the memory of how it felt heavy on your body? Can you have that memory? So you know what that is. Now let's have the memory. 3, 4 days. I finally had a chance to shower. I finally had a chance to have a bath. And then afterwards, how light you feel. That's a sensation. I ask you to look forward to that sensation. And I must inform you, unless you do this so deeply, you won't have the sensation. The sensation you will have if you do it so deeply. What are you being asked to do? You're being asked to forgive yourself for every mistake you've ever made. But that's only half. You are being asked to forgive others for the mistakes that they have made. That seems easy to do. Then the thoughtful student, thinking it through a little bit more, will say, well, do I forgive the terrorists? Do I forgive the individuals who killed the cartoonists in France? Do I forgive them too? Yes. And if it's difficult and if it comforts you, do it the way Jesus did. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. But what is going to give you some comfort zone is to know your power to forgive another is twofold. It's so that their actions do not touch your life, and that in forgiving them, you are creating a door, because you recognize you might forgive them, but you also know that their own life will make them accountable. Their own, whether you call it karmic debt or whatever you call it, you know that, yes, I can forgive you, yet you've got to do your own inner work to correct the imbalance that you've done. So by forgiving another person, you make sure that whatever is their mistake is not touching you, and you're helping them, because your forgiveness of them sometime, somewhere, someplace, and it may not even be in that lifetime, it's going to open a door where they themselves will give reparation to the mistake they made. Do you understand? So then, is it possible? It's possible for you to forgive yourself. Is it possible for you to forgive everyone that has ever made a mistake?
Yes.
Now you see, is your intellect quiet now? Is your intellect quiet? Or is ego trying to throw up some thoughts? Well, that doesn't mean I'm going to let them run riot over me. Do you understand the expression? That would never happen. You're moving into a state of consciousness that couldn't happen. Do you understand that? Can you grasp that? So you might say you have an expression, the ego is just something about straws. It's grasping for straws. That's all it's doing. So this is the second piece that I'm asking each of you to do. I forgive myself. I forgive myself for every mistake that I have made in this and any lifetime I have ever lived. And I forgive all others for the mistakes that they have made and they are making in this world. Now, how deep can you go? Are you going to have to lay down? Are you going to have to sit down? Are you going to have to put on some essential oil? Are you going to have to go for a walk? Is this going to have to be memorable to you? Are you going to have to take yourself out for dinner? Are you going to have to go hiking in the mountain? Is it going to be memorable for you so that when you say, I forgive myself, does it go deep? Did that register? Maybe I need to say it quietly. Maybe I need to just think it deeply. Let's all do it deeply without speaking it. Let's all say in our mind. Do you think it is healthy to let the energy of the world hear your decision? Why not? Why not? Your messenger number 2 finds no difficulty finding volume in his speech. Would it be embarrassing to stand out in a park, somewhere, a back alley, and holler it out? I forgive you. Does that put it together for you in terms of people wouldn't make mistakes if they knew better? Is that true? It's partially true. Some people know better, but they still make the mistake because the history of that mistake has substantially and in substance become such a strong history. The history has become a momentum. It overrides. The mind knows, I ought to do different. I ought to do better. The emotional body can't because it's laden down with the weight of it. This must be so deep inside you. Who knows you best? Who knows you best? Yourself? That's part of the answer. Your higher discerning intelligence knows you very, very best. And as you come closer to your own Christ mind, the aspect known of you in this world and the aspect known as you as the higher Christ consciousness comes closer and closer. Who knows you best? I do. So only you can ask the question. And I beg each of you to ask the question. Take this up for the whole next week. Every private moment you have, and you do have private moments due to the demands of your body. I won't say it like a son does, but due to those demands, you do have private moments. And every one of those moments, and I know I'm a little more favored to the heart, but every one of those moments you can get, there's something about getting the hands over the chest and heart and saying, and closing your eyes so that you know you're messaging this inside, I forgive you. Or if it's easier, I forgive me. I like I forgive you because I want you to know that you are addressing yourself. I forgive me sounds, well, it just sounds odd to me. I forgive myself. And I understand this message must reach deep. Then ask yourself, what do I need to do to make sure this message is reaching at a profundity, at a level so deep? There's the sensation. It's followed by a sensation where I feel I've been made whole. I feel I've been made clean. The act of forgiveness. The forgiveness is now a demand that has brought an actionable response in which the hand of God lifts those mistakes and you feel clean. So there's that sensation. Oh, I finally had a shower after 4 days. I feel so clean, so light. There's that sensation. You will have some kind of a sensation. Your presence, your divinity will let you know when that message that you have for yourself, I forgive myself, and I forgive all those that have made mistakes as well. Your inner being, your heart will know when that message is so sincere and you've reached deep within your being. This can't be a thing that sits up on the surface of your mind. You have to let this decision, this announcement, this action of your beingness register so deeply. And when it does, you will have a sensation. Now, I've generalized a sensation. Some of you might have a sensation. You see, it depends whether the registration point is deep inside the mind or the registration point is deep inside the heart. Both are fine. Yet if it's deep inside the heart, it may follow by tears. If it's deep inside the mind, the feeling clean sensation comes from a wash of light that just spreads across your mind. Makes you feel so clean. Do you understand? What is the purpose of doing this? So that the second great activity that Mother Mary is birthing right now, yes, that in a sudden moment, everything that has been difficult in your life is removed from your consciousness. We begin new days. The curriculum that I and the Son and others who are stepping in, that are building for this year, through our classes, our weekends, our conclaves, is to ensure that the last clutches of crucifixion are pulled away from you. You see, those last clutches of crucifixion don't want you to know that those are crucifixion energies. Those last clutches of crucifixion just want you to think, well, that's the way it is. Life's tough. Life's rough. Life's limiting. Life comes with disease. Do you understand? So this year, you break free. Stage and phase. Stage and phase. Meanwhile, I'll leave you with this. This year, more important, it's always been important to you, but we've invited you over these last 10 years back up. What's always been important to you, your physical bodies and physical experience and physical manifestations. For years, we've been inviting you, come on, hands off, back up. Let's go into the mind. Let's go into the feeling body. Let's grow knowledge. Let's get back to the basics. Let's understand that you create your own reality. How do you create it? Let's understand some of the damage that's been done, beliefs, emotions that are sitting in the mind. We've done this work. And the most remarkable thing is, you've done this work for the whole next waves of students that are going to come into the academy. And that's wonderful. But this is the year where we go hands-on with everything that is physical. The body, the world, physical manifestation, substance, everything. So, precious hearts, the sooner, when you are doing your daily calls, that you reaffirm what we left you with, the truth that we invited you to make covenant with in 2014. I am come to live within the heart flame of the mighty I Am presence and the ascended host. And there I am, and there I remain, clothed in its power victorious, its love invincible, its victory eternal. Therefore, do you really want to be thinking about physical conditions? Do you really want to be making plans about your manifestations, your achievements in the world? Do you really want to go out into the outer world? Do you want to go to meetings? Do you want to make plans? Do you want to go off to work? Do you want to put your attention on projects? All of these things are just a sampling of physical manifestation. Do you really want to go out and do those things without first calling upon your presence and the ascended masters and angels, charging every physical condition and manifestation with their sacred fire, love, purity, and power? That's part of the equation. So as you set into motion, because this year is going to be amazing in so many ways, but there will be, and I'm going to set a sun up now, there's going to be stark episodes in your life where something happens, even physically, and you'll say, why did that happen? It's so outside of everything else. The starkness of it so contrasts everything else. Why did that happen? Why did it turn out that way? Oh, what do you say? OGM? OMG. I know what I didn't do. I didn't take a moment in this very important meeting where I was trying to get investors or whatever it is, people interested. I didn't turn to my presence and the ascended masters, and I did not invoke the sacred fire, love, into these physical conditions, manifestations, and meetings. Okay, so what just happened? I just lost a potential contract, or whatever it is. Stark episodes, where every one of those episodes seek to really quickly show you, okay, it didn't work out. Why didn't it work out? Oh my God. You see, you can't go one day anymore now without calling to your presence and the ascended masters to charge all physical conditions that you will face, every physical manifestation you will create, with the ascended master's sacred fire, love. So I leave you with this. What's that sacred fire, love, going to do? While my physical body still experiences limitation, but I'm not talking about the limitation of a diseased body. I'm talking about a body that the Christ is not taking its dominion through yet. So the sacred fire love of the Ascended Masters and your presence is to do in physical manifestation what the Christ will do when it comes through you. But we can't wait. We can't wait till the Christ takes its dominion. Everything is speeding up. And how sweet each of you are going to love. You're on your way to work. You're on your way to do something. Maybe it's a family meeting. Maybe it's a meeting with the boss of people at work. And on your way, my beloved I Am Presence, great ascended host, charge your sacred fire of love into this meeting. See that the higher Christ mind of everyone prevails. See that you're perfect. The only manifestation, I am interested. This moment, moving forward, is sacred fire manifestation. My beloved mighty I Am Presence and great ascended host, I command and demand the Ascended Master's sacred fire manifestation of all energy and physical conditions and situations in my world. You can't do this 3 times a day, sincerely, without everything transforming and changing in your outer life. My desire for each of you is that the experience of struggle that you can otherwise get into when physical conditions are so demanding, until the Christ takes its dominion in you, we and the Ascended Host must provide you the sacred fire of love that knows how to control physical energy, atomic energy, physical plans, achievements, manifestations. We know how to make our sacred fire love control those things perfectly. Our sacred fire love can take the wrong people out of your life and bring the right people in. So, beloved hearts, this year, we dismantle, with your cooperation, your desire, we dismantle the complete duality of crucifixion, its experience, its memory, its cause from your being. So it's best, beloved, that you invoke the power of God to take its dominion through your life and be a decreer and be a director and also be an observer where you watch your physical realities change. No stress, no struggle. Are you ready?
Yes.
God bless you. I thank you. So you do have some homework. If you don't remember it, please review with each other before you leave. I thank you. Namaste. We love and bless you, Mother Akasha. We are so grateful for the outpouring of your love and your presence with us today. Deep breath, everyone.